वो कहते हैं ना कि प्यार में बहुत ताकत होती है। और देखिए, आपका जो प्यार आया ना हमारे पिछले इंटरव्यू पे, वो मैं फिर से खींच लाया है विशी के पास। विशी, लोगों ने बहुत सारे सवाल पूछे हैं जो आपके कमेंट्स से, जो आपके इंटरव्यूज उसके बारे में, उस पर बात करेंगे। लेकिन पिछली बार है ना, आपका इंट्रोडक्शन थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट में निपटा दिया गया, थोड़ा सा लॉन्ग करते हैं। जरा बताइए अपने एविएशन करियर के बारे में।
तो मेरा एविएशन करियर जो है 25 साल का रहा है। एट द एज ऑफ 23 मैंने इंडस्ट्री ज्वाइन किया। आफ्टर फिनिशिंग माई सीए मैंने जेट एयरवेज ज्वाइन किया, जहाँ पे मैंने एज अ मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी ज्वाइन किया। 15 साल वहाँ पे मैं रहा। 15 साल में बहुत सारा इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स मैंने किया। मैंने एटलीस्ट 2 या 3 इकोनॉमिक साइकिल्स देखे हैं एयरलाइन इंडस्ट्री के। उसके बाद आई डिसाइडेड टू मूव आउट एंड pursue my passion which is music। तो लास्ट 10-12 साल से मैं प्रोफेशनली म्यूज़िक कर रहा हूँ, बट वो एविएशन का कीड़ा फिर भी अंदर रहता ही है। तो आई कीप डूइंग एविएशन कंसल्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स ऑन द साइड एंड उसकी बदौलत आई हैव बीन मीटिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पीपल सच एज योरसेल्फ एंड आई हैव बीन एंजॉयिंग माय लाइफ सिंस देन।
पिछले इंटरव्यू में कई सारे सवाल निकल के आए थे, स्पेशली व्हेन यू सेड दैट एयरलाइंस barely make money when it comes to the revenue from the ticket cost.
Yes, in fact they don't make money if they were to only sell tickets.
So the question is, what are the other sources of revenue which airlines have?
So I'll give you some very broad numbers, Utkarsh. In fact, IATA has just published their forecast for 2023 and उन्होंने कहा है कि for the year 2023 the estimated revenue globally of all airlines put together is roughly around $850 billion, जिसमें से पैसेंजर रेवेन्यू का शेयर जो है it's only around 520 or 530, so which means that a total amount of roughly around $300 billion or roughly 40% of revenues is coming from non-passenger revenue, जिसको हम very in loose terms ancillary revenue, cargo revenue ये सब बोलते हैं, but passenger revenue का जो शेयर है overall revenues में it's not more than 60% in today's terms.
Can you break the ancillary revenue and cargo for us? That's 40% for us.
Yes.
कि उसमें क्या क्या आता है majorly?
Yeah, so for different business models it's going to be different. International airlines अगर आप देखोगे जो international flights करते हैं उसमें ancillary revenue का scope काफ़ी कम होता है, right? Because you are supposed to provide food and other things, unless of course it's a short sector. But जब भी domestic legs की बात करते हैं, domestic legs में the ancillary revenue proportion as a percentage of passenger revenue is very very high, and that's typically caused by something called this unbundling of fares. अभी 15-20 साल के पहले अगर आप देखते थे there was only one fare, the customer had to pay it whether he was carrying luggage or no, he has to pay for it. 15 kilos या 20 kilos का उसको check in baggage allowance मिलता, hand baggage allowance मिलता, he used to get food whether he likes it or not, he has to eat. If he doesn't like it he will not eat, but he was anyway paying for it, right? What airlines then did is, and this was obviously done in the US very very long time ago, India में the adoption came about around 10-15 years ago, जहाँ पे ये complete trip का जो service था या product था उसको unbundle किया गया. So at the core there was basically a passenger seat which is basically traveling from point A to point B. That was the core product, and then you would add bells and whistles to it. Like आपको खाना पसंद है तो क्या खाना खाएंगे, so somebody were to choose, let's say मुझे बिरयानी खाना है, you add that onto your cart, you add another 250 rupees. आपके पास एक चेक इन लगेज है, 2 चेक इन लगेज है, दूसरे पीस ऑफ लगेज के लिए एक्स्ट्रा पे करना है आपको विंडो सीट चाहिए कि आइल सीट चाहिए, उसके लिए उनको पे करना पड़ेगा. Do you want to go and check in at the airport terminal or you want to check in sitting at home, उसके लिए there is a separate cost. So these are all the passenger related ancillary revenues. Over and above that, I think airlines have also very smartly created revenue opportunities by doing in-flight branding. अगर आप देखोगे बैगेज बिन्स में आज की तारीख में एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स होता है, मील ट्रेस में एडवर्टाइजमेंट होता है, सीट बैक में एडवर्टाइजमेंट होता है, हेड रेस्ट कवर में एडवर्टाइजिंग होता है. इनफैक्ट जेट एयरवेज में हमने तो एयरक्राफ्ट रैप भी बना दिया था. सो वी रैप्ड द एयरक्राफ्ट with a brand, right? So we had tied up with Disney, and Disney was basically paying us to fly a flying billboard, so to speak, right? So there are so many opportunities for an airline to be able to create incremental revenue opportunities, which in a way is also helpful for the customer because he or she is able to freely pick and choose what kind of a product he wants to have. So it's like going to a hotel and saying whether you want a सादा डोसा कि आपको उसके ऊपर घी चाहिए कि बटर चाहिए, वो सब एड-ऑन्स हो गया. आपको सिर्फ सादा डोसा खाना है तो सादा डोसा खा लो.
Let's take an example of a Delhi Bombay flight.
Yes.
भाई फ्लाइट की टिकट की बात हो गई. सपोज यू आई एम पेइंग 3,500-4,000. Now from 4,000 from ticket, what are the other charges the airline might take or I might pay in my flight from Delhi to Bombay, and in what proportion might that be?
Okay. So firstly, let me tell you the average yield that a airline would make on a Delhi Bombay flight is roughly around 6,500 to 7,000.
Yeah.
ये 3,000 वाला जो fare हम बोल रहे हैं, that's a early bird fare,
Yeah.
which is booked like 120 days in advance. As you go closer to departure, the fares start to go up. So the average fare that the airline would make is around 6,500 because it's a 2-hour flight. But let's look at the ancillary revenue opportunities. After the time you're booking your ticket, they will offer you a passenger insurance, right?
Yeah.
Travel insurance आपको लेना है नहीं लेना है, अगर लोगे तो 150 से 200 रुपये आपका इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम हो जाएगा. After which there is a convenience fee, right? Okay. 250 to 300 rupees every time you book a ticket. You have to pay convenience fee to, let's say, swipe your credit card or debit card. Then you actually come on to the aircraft, at which point in time or even before that you need to, let's say, do a web check-in. आपको seat selection करना पड़ेगा. You want to take a एक्स्ट्रा लेग स्पेस और नॉर्मल सीट. एक्स्ट्रा लेग स्पेस के लिए आपको 600-700 रुपीज़ भरना पड़ेगा. नॉर्मल सीट में अगर आपको विंडो या आई चाहिए, सो दो सीट्स गो एनीवेयर बिटवीन 150 to 450 रुपीज़. आपको फ्लाइट के अंदर खाना खाना है, तो यू कैन प्री बुक इट. दैट विल कॉस्ट यू एनीवेयर बिटवीन 250 to 300 रुपीज़. कॉफ़ी पीना है 200 रुपया, शेक पीना है 70 रुपये 80 रुपये. सो दिस इज़ हाउ एयरलाइंस टिपिकली बिल्ड दिस रेवेन्यू स्फीयर. इंक्रीमेंटली आपको मीट एंड असिस्ट चाहिए, आपको लाउंज यूज़ करना है, आपको एडिशनल लगेज कैरी ऑन लगेज यूज़ करना. ऑल दीज बिकम रेवेन्यू अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर एयरलाइंस.
That's it. How bigger is cargo now? Is cargo a part of the ancillary revenues or it is completely different?
So cargo revenue is typically a separate line item. It's a way of looking at it. In the US or other parts of the world, they look at it as ancillary revenues. But if you were to look at cargo as a percentage of overall revenues, for domestic carriers, it's anywhere between 15 to 20% of their top line. For international carriers, it could even be anywhere between 20 to 25% because it's got a larger belly hold. The wide bodies have got a bigger belly hold, and you are also able to carry containerized cargo. If you look at narrow body airplanes, उसमें सिर्फ loose cargo जाता है, containerized cargo नहीं जाता है. But if you look at wide body airplanes, there is a potential for you to carry so many different containerized cargo. So domestic cargo revenues, anywhere between 15 to 20% of overall revenues. Ancillary revenues outside of cargo revenue, again 20 to 25% of overall revenues.
You spoke about unbundling of fares, and you anyhow said that what happened in India happened much later than what was happening in US.
Yes.
Now, if you travel to US also, you will see that the fares are much more unbundled than what it is in India right now.
Yes.
What are and now there is a new term also which is coming in India. Now we are saying ULCC.
Yes.
What are more unbundling we can see where more money can be taken out from the passenger ticket to keep it lower, and then the addition unbundling can happen?
So what typically happens is the difference between an LCC and a ULCC is a ULCC looks at incrementally more opportunities to earn revenue from the same passenger, not necessarily from the passenger's pocket, which potentially means that they will sell you the passenger time to a brand.
Okay.
The brand will typically pay for using that passenger time. So for example, if you look at within the aircraft, there is a lot of branding which happens today,
Yeah.
right? And let's try and take it to a next level. Tomorrow, nothing stops airlines from handing over an iPad to each and every customer who walks into the aircraft, and they have to watch advertisements, right, before they watch content. So the content typically becomes free, but to watch that content, they have to watch an advertisement for which the brand is going to pay them. So they are looking at various means and opportunities to be able to make more money from the passenger without incrementally touching the passenger's wallet.
What about the loyalty programs? Because they are also something which are being sold a lot. Correct. Do airlines really make money through loyalty programs? Because I remember when Jet Airways was also going on block, the Jet privilege had more valuation than Jet Airways.
Exactly. So almost all airlines in the US have loyalty programs, and their customers are very loyal about their programs, right? So through the loyalty program, there are so many other things which you can do, which includes, let's say, doing a co-branded credit card or a co-branded debit card, doing events which are co-branded, and typically delivering exclusive experiences to their elite loyal customers as such. Airlines have been known to make 10 to 12% of their revenues purely through the loyalty program, right? Because what also happens is, once you're loyal to a particular airline, over a period in time, you don't mind paying a slight premium for the same seat, because you are no longer going to be price conscious, purely because you know that you're going to be wedded to this loyalty program for a longer period in time. The kind of value that you're going to derive back from the airline is also going to be significantly higher. So airlines in the US, there are some very successful loyalty programs which end up making 10 to 12% of their overall revenues through this program. And there have been hugely successful loyalty programs like Aeroplan for Air Canada, or let's say even Qantas had a very, very successful loyalty programs. And these loyalty programs actually are valued much higher than the core value of the airline. That's how powerful they become over time.
What about India? Because India, we had jet privilege at one point of time, but are there some good loyalty programs?
Sadly, today, there aren't the kind of loyalty programs which basically take you to the bank. Jet Privilege was one very strong loyalty program. Kingfisher had a very good loyalty program. But globally, what happens is, airlines are part of big networks. They are either part of the Star Alliance or the Sky Team. So these are the various network alliances which also have loyalty programs associated with it, right? So even though airlines may not have a standalone loyalty program, they can become part of a much broader program. In India, of course, the two current loyalty programs which are prevalent, one is of course Flying Returns, which is Air India's loyalty program, and Vistara has their own loyalty program today. Both have not made it commercially big, I would imagine, but in terms of opportunity, it's huge.
Now, we've spoken about the ancillary revenues, we've spoken about the ticket revenues, but still I feel that making money is very difficult.
Exactly.
How do airlines then make money?
So many different things you have to get right to make money. It's not just one single thing for you to make money. Obviously, there is a lot of focus that you have to have on your cost structure, on your strategic planning, on your long-term planning, on your execution. But I think if you look at it from the revenue side, very clearly or very simply put, airlines will have to break their routes into three different buckets. The first bucket being flights or routes which are extremely profitable. And they have to try and maximize their profitability on those routes. The mid 30% or 40% routes are those which are kind of break even, which will never make a huge profit nor make a huge loss, to try and contain it to a no profit, no loss situation. And the third bucket is basically your bleeders, which are typically feeder routes. You can't stay away with, by taking them out of the network, you still have to have them. But at the same time, you have to see how you can minimize the losses on, the bottom fishers as such. So airlines have to typically very clearly monitor the performance of each and every flight on a very regular basis. And that's where, data becomes very, very important. Technology systems become very important. How to analyze some of these routes on a day-to-day basis is how, airlines will eventually make profits.
इसके साथ हमारी समय समाप्ति की घोषणा होती है. But I hope you have answered all your questions. And if there is anything else in your mind, please write us in the comments and we will get hold of Vishy again.
Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot.